When it comes to assigning resources to your task, well, in this training video I'm just going to show you how you can assign your work type resources, because after we grasp the basics in a later training video, I'll show you how you can assign your material resources, costs, and then your budget. Now, as far as the costs go for my resources, I haven't set that up yet. I'll also cover that in a later training video. And as far as the benefits go for assigning a resource to a task, I can think of four. First is that if you assign a resource that's a work resource to a task, it'll tell us who's working on the task, which is pretty important to me. And then accurate scheduling. If the resource has a calendar that it goes off of outside of the project calendar, or as we talked about in an earlier training video, that the resource calendar always takes precedence over the project calendar because the resource isn't available during the standard working times of the project calendar, then when we schedule, it'll be accurate because that's the only time that the resource is available, as it overwrites the project calendar and allows that resource to work in those non-working times. Third benefit is for accurate assignments. In other words, when we go ahead and we start assigning a resource to a task, how much of their time is going to be available? It's going to be measured in units. 100% is, well, the default for my project calendar is 8-hour workdays, so it would be 8 hours at 100%. Or if they're only going to work 6 hours, then I can go down to 75 or down to 50 for 4 hours, 25% 2 hours, and then, well, you can do the math of everything in between, 26%, 27%, and so on, okay? Going to go ahead and go back up to 100. And then the fourth benefit is that it'll help project account for resource time and cost, from which you can go ahead and print reports, including accounting reports of where the time and costs are and how much is left. Okay, having said that, let's go ahead and assign our work type resources to our task, and I'm going to do that over in the Gantt chart by changing views with the right click on the view bar. Can't do it. And the reason why I can't switch views here is because I'm in the cell's edit mode. So if I click outside of the cell, so I'm not in another cell's edit mode, then I can come back over here and right click on the view bar and switch views and go to the Gantt chart. Now there are three different types of ways you can assign resources to your task. The first way, and probably the most simplistic way, is just to go ahead and select the task that you want to assign a resource to. Then come up here and click on the Resource tab, go to the Assignments group, and there you go, the two dudes. Assign resources. You can see in that pop-up you can also use the shortcut keys Alt F10 to bring up the same window. I'm just going to click on it, and it brings up the Assign Resources window with a list of all the resources that we have over in our resource sheet right here. So all I have to do is, with the task selected, is to go ahead and scroll to and find the resource that I want to assign to Examine Software, like Writer 1. Select him, go ahead and click Assign, and it checks the resource Writer 1 with the units 100%, which means 8 hours. Again, if it was 50% units, it would be 4 hours that he'd be working a day on that task. If the task was 5 days, then that would be 20 hours for the work. And then the cost we haven't gone over yet, so let's just go ahead and click Close, and we'll cover the cost in a later training video. And then over here in the Gantt chart, you can see the resource that's been assigned to the task, or next to the taskbar. You can also see the resource that's been assigned to the task over in the entry view, or in the entry table by clicking over a little bit until we get to the resource names column, and there you go, Writer 1. Now if you want to go ahead and unassign the resource to the task, then you can come up here, click on Assign Resources, select Writer 1, click Remove, go ahead and close out, and he's gone. Okay. And then another way to go ahead and assign resources to your task, well, you can do it right here. As we just saw, Writer 1 was assigned to it, but you can also click in there, click on its corresponding drop-down arrow, and assign it that way, and click off, and also click on the drop-down arrow and unassign the resource and click off. In any case, let me go ahead and reassign Writer 1, click off. You can see him over the Gantt chart. And then to go ahead and save some time, to go ahead and assign the Writer 1 resource to the next two tasks, the next two adjacent cells, I can use the shortcut by hovering over the lower right corner of the cell until I can see a black cross. That's known as the autofill handle. You can learn more about all these shortcuts when it comes to working with the cells in the project tables in my Excel 2010 training video, because they pretty much operate the same. As you can see here, when I click and drag it down, it automatically fills in what I had selected in this cell right here, Writer 1, copies them over. So when I click off, you can see over here, Writer 1, Writer 1, Writer 1, what you see here. They've been assigned to these three tasks. So let me go ahead and scroll back. And then the third and final way, which I think is, well, it's my favorite way of assigning resources because I can do more than just assign. I can manage the resources in this next view. And that's by coming up here, speaking of views, clicking on the View tab, going to the Split View group, and checking Details. And it should be the task form. If it doesn't say task form, you can go ahead and change it to task form. And you can see that my window's been split in half. The top part is still the Gantt chart, and then the bottom part is the task form. So whatever task I select up above, it will display the name of the task down below, interview subject matter experts right there. Also contains the start, finish dates, the durations, which by the way, if I can't see it in the entry table without scrolling over, I can definitely see it down here and not have to scroll. So let me go ahead and scroll back. And then also you can see the resources that have been assigned to that task, Writer 1. There we go, Writer 1. And then over to the right hand side you have the predecessor to the resource, search internal documentation, again search internal documentation, and the relationship type, FS, finish to start. So the predecessor must finish before this task, interview subject matter experts, the next task right here that I have selected, can start. So to go ahead and assign a resource, let's go down to this one right here, create outline. You can just come down here and click below the column header, the label there, resource name. Click right below it and you'll see a cell opens up with a drop down arrow. Click on the drop down arrow and you get a list of the resources. Go ahead and select one, click okie dokie, and there you go, Writer 1. And then to remove a resource, you can go ahead and select it, hit the delete key, click OK, and it disappears. Now notice that we've got the previous and next buttons. You can go previous to the previous task, in this case the summary task. Click previous, previous, or you can click next, next, and it goes down to the next task, and then we go back to create outline. And notice that when I go ahead and I make changes in the window down below by adding resources like Writer 1, it updates the two buttons from previous and next to OK and cancel because we're going to approve the changes we made. As soon as I click OK and approve it, then it goes to previous and next, so I can go to the next task and assign a resource there, or go back and make changes again to the task. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more. Let's click on Next, and for review with subject matter expert, let's come down here and assign also Writer 1 and click OK. Now, am I having a problem when it comes to assigning the same resource to all these tasks that he's going to be overworked or over-allocated? No, because remember, before the next task can start, at least in all these tasks right here, the relationship is that its predecessor has to be completed. So as soon as that task has been completed, then the next one can start, which means that he can go ahead and continue on working from one task to the next without having both tasks start at the same time and trying to split himself between the two tasks. So here, we want to show you the basics of assigning resources to your tasks and the 3 different ways you can do it. And again, my favorite way is down here in the task form, because not only can I assign the resources to the task, but I can go ahead and actually do some management here, make changes to the fields here like the start, finish dates, and a few others that we'll go over in the next couple of training videos. And then finally, if you find yourself not in the same view in the task form that you see here, then if by mistake, if you're like me, sometimes you meant to left click but you right click and then you go, oops, let me hurry and go ahead and left click, but you do it so fast that the next thing you know, you're switching something, you're like, what did I do? Well, anywhere that you right click, not on a field here, but around the fields, you can actually change the view of the task form. It used to be resources and predecessor, now it's predecessor and successors, so to go back to it, just go ahead and select resources and predecessors. So yes, you can go ahead and change the task form view with the right click. And just in case you did it by mistake, well, now you know how to go ahead and go back to the default here, resource and predecessors. And then if you want to go ahead and get rid of the split view because you're done, you can do it one of a couple of ways. Well, you can go ahead and hover over that split bar and double click really fast, it gets rid of it. Or let me come up here on the View tab to the Split View group and check Details. Of course, you can uncheck that. Let me check it again. Or, as you just saw when you right-clicked, you get these options here, the least of which is to uncheck Show Split. It disappears. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back up again for the next training video. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.